Hey, welcome back to Views on Brews. I am Brendan, and this is going to be something a little bit different again. Last time round we were doing a bit of home brewing, and now I have been given the opportunity to go and brew a beer in a brewery, doing a proper full day's work in Widestreet Brewing Company, Ballymahon, County Longford. So I'm going to need to crush coriander. I'm just using a pestle and mortar because I don't want to grind these down to a fine flour and then end up with a massively over coriandered beer. It's 6 in the morning, I've got the kettle on, I'm down in the kitchen with the cats. Everyone else is still asleep, it's cold, it's rainy, it's wet outside. It's the perfect day to go to Widestreet Brewing Company and go and brew a Belgian wit ready for the summer. Okay, so here we are, Widestreet Brewery, and there is a strange looking thing. This is their cool ship, which they've just put spontaneous beer down into barrels. Let's go in now and say hello to Sean. Morning, Sean.
Morning.
The brewery looks a lot more packed since I was last here. Lots of stuff going on, lots of really interesting fermentation happening. Most of it wild. Look at that. The smell in here is absolutely fabulous. And that looks like the malt for our beer. How about that for a mash paddle? Widestreet Brewing Company was started back in May 2019. Head brewer and owner Sean Cullen and his partner Carla, the main driving forces behind the brewery. And as you can see, things are starting to take off here. They got plenty of things going on, from spontaneous cool ship beers to 13% barrel aged ribs. Okay, so we've got the hot liquor tank water moved over to the mash tun. I've got this massive paddle with sort of laser etched Widestreet Brewing on it, and we're about to mash in the malt, which would be the first time I've ever done that on a big kit. So let's see how it goes. Well, Sean, how are we doing? It's good to get down here and brew a beer with you. Tell everyone what we're about to mash in a minute.
What we've mashed in already, we're about to mash it out or transfer over to the boil kettle after the sparge, is a Belgian wit beer.
Yeah.
Gold medal winning recipe from yourself about 2 years ago, which we're more than happy to scale up and release as part of our session beer series, Time-lapse.
Yeah, and I think perfect timing to get Belgian wit done. And there aren't too many out in the country right now, so I think it's a really good session type of beer coming into the summer. And we're going to throw in some what the hops we've got? Citra,
Hallertau Mittelfrüh, I think, and some Citra to replace what would have been traditionally orange peel that's used in the style.
Yeah, so I think when I made that recipe, the Citra was exactly for that reason, because I just didn't have it on a homebrew level. So throwing a bit of Citra, you can't go too far wrong. We've got the pills in there. It's Chateau Pill, Chateau wheat, and we've got malted oats as well going in. Looking forward to it. So we're about to head off now and put in the sparge water. My arms are absolutely destroyed from mashing in with the biggest mash paddle you've ever seen. Let's go do it. Okay, so we've mashed out, we've done a bit of recirculation, and as you can see now we are onto the sparge, which basically consists mainly of me drinking coffee and watching Sean, who's keeping me well away from the equipment, and rightly so. And everything seems to be running smoothly right now with the brew. Looks good, smells fantastic, using all Belgian malt as well, so really true to the style, looking good. And here's a whole lot of grain for me to clean out in a minute. Okay, so the boil kettle is now just close to needing the first addition of the hops. So that's the Hallertau Mittelfrüh. We've got these nitrogen flushed Citra hops to go in. We're going to go with Citra as opposed to orange, which is going to be the difference in this beer. And that happened really by coincidence when I made this as a homebrew recipe. I thought about orange going in, which is classical for the style, but I didn't have any orange, but I did have Citra, and Citra is a winner of a hop. Here is the pestle and mortared Coriander edition. This filling up this brewery with this potpourri, sort of a perfume thing going on. Very orangey, really nice. I'm excited to see what that's going to do to the beer. Yeah, so let's get on with the boil. So that's the beer going into the boil there. Looks like a Belgian wit to me. Nice bit of haze, very pale. Almost kind of like white grapefruit juice. Looking good. So anyone wishing to work in a brewery will know that one of the main jobs for a newbie to the brewery is to mash out all of the grain. And after I had worked out that I was using the wrong end of the stick, I finally managed to get all the grain out. It did take quite a while. Let's get the Hallertau into the beer. Hallertau Mittelfrüh is a really interesting, nice, slightly spicy, earthy and floral, flowery type of a hop, which I thought would be a great addition into the boil. Of course, we're not wasting any of the grain, the spent grain, that goes to the farmers next door, and a cheeky little sample. We also use this funky gizmo to give us a bit of a read-in halfway through. 60-minute boil done, and it's time to get it over to the plate chiller and strain it out through this ingenious little contraption that Sean has put together. Yeah, Carla provided the pizza, which was absolutely fantastic. Meanwhile, the beer was casually making its way to the fermenter for the next 2 weeks. And myself, Sean and Carla got a cheeky sample of the 13% Russian Imperial Stout that Sean has been laying down in these Wild Turkey and Jack Daniels barrels for quite a while now. And I'd been eyeing it up all day, and it was finally a chance to get it into the glass to have a sample. It was fantastic. So perhaps the most important part of the whole brewing process is getting the yeast in, and if I can just get it into the fermenter without dropping any, that would be a good start. Oops, there goes a bit there. And as you can see in the foreground, Sean's barrel of spontaneous beer is busily doing its thing there. 2 weeks later, I arrived back at the brewery for a full day of canning. We couldn't label the beers because all of the beers that are canned and bottled in Widestreet are canned and bottled conditioned, which makes them the first ever brewery in Ireland to be doing that, which is really cool. So we need these cans to firm up before we can put the labels on them. And so after another 3 or 4 weeks now of can conditioning with the label gone on, we are here. We finally got the box in front of me. I'm absolutely dying to try this beer out now and see if it is how I imagined it would be from the homebrew recipe. Obviously, when you scale up a beer, you know, there's always going to be differences. We had to swap out the yeast in this one, which is going to make some difference, although it should be fairly similar. That really nice Belgian wit, soft spiciness going on in there. Hoping to get a bit of Citra out of it, hoping that coriander comes through, but I'm also hoping that coriander does not take over the beer. Distinctly remember in my investigations for the homebrew competition that you know, the wits that I tried, the ones that I really liked, didn't have too much spice going on in a heavy way. There needs to be a bit of drinkability maintained. So with that being said, let's get this box open and crack open a beer. So the label design was done in-house by Carla. She does all of the labels. Super happy with the label, and she's done a nice little bit on the back there for me about the beer itself. And here it is. Fantastic. So excited. Love the look of that label as well. This is the second in their time-lapse series. It's a wit beer. It's got barley, wheat, oats, coriander, citra. It's 5%. Perfect sessionable beer for the summer. On the back it says we teamed up with Brendan Sewell for the Midlands Beer Club. From the Midlands Beer Club to use his National Homebrew gold medal winning recipe in the wit beer section for the latest summer addition to our time-lapse series of session beers. Enjoy, and I most certainly will. Okay, let's get this off and let's get the beer in the glass. I have, of course, got my Widestreet Brewing Willie Belcher glass, as it's affectionately known. These beers have been in a fridge as well. Nice hiss coming off the can on opening. That's a good start. Let's see, did I get the colour right? The colour is looking nice and cloudy, exactly what you want. Now, because this beer is can conditioned, and I love the esters of the yeast in Belgian wit beer, I just want to make sure that I am getting all of that yeast back up off. Yeah, there's loads of yeast coming out of it now, and I really like that because there is going to be some spiciness, but gentle spice, not heavy Hefeweizen spice. You might get some, you know, the faintest bit of clove, but definitely there should be a bit of banana or something going on in there, a little bit of spice, a little bit of pepper, nice bit of floweriness coming and floral, maybe a little bit herbal from that middle fruit as well. And then you're going to get that big hit of Citra, or hops, I hope. It looks really good. This is the bias beer review coming up now of my Belgian wit beer, but damn, that looks good in the glass. Very, very bright, very, very bright color. I'm not sure if that's showing up on the camera, but it's just like cloudy orange juice. Nice cloudy orange juice. Decent head on the top as well. Not going anywhere. Staying foam, one finger thick. Let's have a look on the nose. Definitely getting some of that spice, but nice and gentle. A bit of citrus. Green is young. It's still young in the can. It's only canned nearly just under 4 weeks ago. A little bit of spice coming off of there. Perhaps a little bit of banana. That is just where I want it on the nose. So I'm happy with that so far. Let's give it a go. Cheers, Sláinte. And if you do see this beer about, go and support Widestreet Brewing Company and their full range of beers. Go and smash up these. If you see these, buy the whole lot and ask for more, and let's get this beer sold. And all of their beers. They're a great brewery, young brewery. They haven't got all the mod cons in there yet. They're building up the brewery. It's a really organic process and fantastic ethos behind the mixed and wild fermentation, and then these summer seasonal beers all the way through the year. Going to be great to see what they come up with next. That is the greatest beer ever brewed. I don't care. Feck it. You might as well go all the way in, and that really does taste fantastic. That's my initial impression of this beer. Nice, super refreshing, full of esters on it, but not so much esters that it would bog you down with too much esterification, if you like. The drinkability to the beer. This is going to be a dangerous beer. It's 5%. It's one of those types of beers that I think in a beer garden with a nice cold cold beer, cold glass even. This is going to be absolutely fantastic for that kind of an environment. It's a crushable Belgian wit style beer. Really easy to drink. Getting a bit of spice, but what I think the coriander has done for this beer is not taken over it. So there's a little bit of spice in the back of the palate, and it's kind of melded a little bit with the esters, kind of melded a little bit with the citra, and probably the mittelfruit as well. So it's not overpowering in any way. I think if I brewed this again, I keep it exactly the same. I'm not hugely into getting masses of coriander on the palate. It is kind of nice, but this beer is refreshing because of the balance, that nothing goes over the top. So I really like that about the beer. Head keeps coming back the more you spin it up. There's a nice freshness to it. It's a citrus freshness to it. Soft, pillowy mouthfeel. Not too much in the way of bitterness or lingering bitterness. There's a gentle lingering. It's nice and dry, very dry. But there's a nice gentle spice going on in there from the esters of the yeast. I think if I give it any more of a beer review, it'll probably be heavily biased in the positive sense. But I can tell you that's a super beer. I'm really happy it's come out exactly the way it's come out. Delighted to have been given the opportunity to go and brew in Widestreet Brewery. They're in County Longford, Ballymahon, and you can just drop straight into the brewery, and they've got a blackboard on the wall, and you can just literally pick the beers you want to take away. It's a great resource in the town, great brewery, great business in the town as well. Go and support them. You'll also find their beers in Jolly Boys burger and pizza restaurant in the main town on Ballymahon High Street. Thoroughly recommend that. Thoroughly recommend this beer. I'm going to drink this and several more of those cans right now. And I guess that's my view on this brew. Fantastic. I would say that, wouldn't I? Cheers, sláinte, and it's on to the next one. Bye-bye. Give the channel a like if you could, and a subscribe, but like button is important because if you do that, it gets this video out to more people. Cheers.